Hello and welcome to Neverwinter with Artisan. So we're in our workshop and today I'd like to go over whether it's worth it or not to actually start crafting as a newer player. For you older players who have already invested hundreds of hours and millions of astral diamonds, it's probably worth it to continue on the grind of leveling up your workshop and obtaining all those masterwork recipes and professions, and you can generally earn a decent amount on the auction house. However, it will really depend. If you're a new player, something I like to warn you, leveling up your crafting system with these professions can be very time consuming or just expensive. Here in the workshop we have our different professions and you can see we have 7 different professions. We currently have 8 because of the summer festival. Currently the max level on a profession is 20, and in order to keep ranking up these professions you're going to have to just simply craft those different items within that profession using those certain artisans. You'll start out with the very basic tools, and then you can go and you can purchase your iron tools, which are then your secondary very basic tools just from a professions vendor. You can see them all here. In order to initially start a profession, let's say it's not the one you chose within your tutorial, you should be able to just pick up the different tools right here. You can see the worn tools. Now, the higher rarity and the higher item level your tool has, the better benefits it will give you. You can see they give you extra proficiency and focus. Proficiency will refer to basically the chance at which it is successful or not. Focus is then the chance at which you can gain a +1 variant, which is generally what most crafters want to be getting, since that will give you the best result. You can see down here in our jewel crafting, still these jewels are very well sought after and there's no real upgrades right now, but they can be very expensive, and for a beginning new player you might consider grinding this out to go and sell these. However, even at my rank here and the time I've spent within professions, you can see my commission cost is still 125,000. Of course, you can obtain artisans, which will then reduce that commission cost. You can see now they'll only cost me 31,000. Proficiency is down. I could throw in my forge hammer, and there we go. That's a reasonable commission cost, but you still have to obtain all of these reagents and they're not cheap. Some, yes, you'll be able to go and gather yourself. You can see over here at this board, you can send out those different adventurers to gather these different materials. And again, this will just take time to level up these gatherers and give them the experience. And you also want to, again, make sure to try and get the ones that have a low enough commission modifier. However, it doesn't really matter too much with gathering, since most of these will just, I think all of these, will just cost gold, and gold is pretty cheap, so I wouldn't worry too much about that. But of course, you wouldn't want too high a commission modifier, but you want to focus on obtaining that high proficiency along with high focus to try and get those +1 variants and not end up failing like this guy would here right now. Now, in order to obtain these craftsmen or these artisans, you go to your desk right here and you will obtain different applicants. The more you craft, the more likely you will get put forward a new applicant. You can have a maximum of 16 right now, different artisans and so on. I believe if you're maxed out, you will still get applicants, but not as often, and you won't be able to accept them. You're going to have to basically go and manage your other artisans and like kick them out. You can see I've just been gathering the ones and just trying to get the ones with a low commission multiplier, ideally gaining that -75%. But again, if you're really dedicated to leveling up your professions and making profit, you don't really want all of these puny common artisans. You want to have these premium ones. This is where this game really throws in pay to win, since you can obtain common, rare or epic ones. However, if you do upgrade your workshop, like I really haven't bothered, to rank 4, it will either cost you a ton of time or you can input astral diamonds to get this leveled up. Once you have it on max, you have a higher chance of obtaining those rare or epic artisans. Overall, professions are not really worth it at all for a newer player, Unless you have lots of time to spend, since professions will require a lot of clicking and just manual labor of crafting hundreds and hundreds of pretty much useless items just to level up. One thing that I would advise everybody do though is just start out with your professions and use them to create gold. Since once you're in the later stages of the game, once you've hit level 20, you can see the removal cost of enchantments is 2.5 gold. And that adds up a significant amount. If you're juggling around different builds, continually obtaining newer gear, then that's definitely something to keep in mind. And the best way to obtain this gold very easily is just every day you jump to your professions. You can go and craft up pretty much anything, but you can do your math yourself. Like I like crafting these leather half boots and use something that would have a nice low commission multiplier. And we can go and just craft these up. We can order as many as we want. Once we've done so, we can go here. We can hold our enter key on PC and just keep clicking finish now. That will use up my morale, and it will also craft up a ton of these boots. You could also get an event where you will get, I believe, twice as much morale effectively by reducing the cost by half. And you can collect all these leather half boots, but then you got the annoying thing where if you have VIP, you can summon your trader and you go and you sell all of these boots, and each one is 34 silver there, and that will add up to a significant amount. Now all of the professions, depending on which one you choose, have that ability, but you generally want to look at the specific ones, as the easiest way to do it is to craft the ones that you're going to be able to purchase these materials very cheaply from just a random professions vendor, like we can right here. We can purchase all of these reagents that we needed. You can do it then with jewel crafting, you can do it then with alchemy. Some will give you a better outcome. It will also depend on which artisans you have. Some will give you more profit than others, but you can just literally do this with all the professions and slowly level them up while obtaining gold. Now, once you have leveled up one profession to max, you can then start Mastercrafting. And in order to start ranking up your Mastercrafters, you have to head over to your Guild Alliance stronghold. Once here, you just head to the right and you'll be able to talk to this artisan guy, and he'll give you the option then to begin Mastercrafting. These guys will sell you different agents. Here's all of my recipes for rank 3 there, which I can purchase, but I'm going to have to basically obtain the rank 2 ones first. And when we look in our quest tab, you can see I'm currently working on my daily grind of jewel crafting tasks. Now, it will take you time. You'll want to be in jewel crafting. These are the requirements to obtain your raw gold ingots, and they're going to have to be +1, and black opals +1. You can of course purchase them from the auction house. However, like I definitely did, is when I went and crafted up 50, it told me I had completed this section, so I sold them on the auction house, and then it went back down to 0. A bit ridiculous, but hold on to them till you have the quest complete. And you can keep going along and basically either purchasing these reagents and unlocking those different Mastercrafting recipes. With those reagents, you then can craft up those end game items. The problem is you're also going to have to go and farm the different maps that will also cost you those guild marks. However, you can get people to farm reagents for Mastercrafting yourself. But again, for a new player at this stage in the game, we've got to Mastercrafting 7. That's an insane grind for new players to actually even get there. A lot of these things you can of course invest a certain amount of astral diamonds or even zen to speed your process along to unlocking it, but then you've just invested way more than you're generally going to get out of it. Like right now, there is a new weapon set from the stronghold that you can obtain. You can craft them up and they will have that stronghold buff of +2% to outgoing damage, healing, and it decreasing the damage people take. And the only people who generally will run these weapons is your support characters, your healers or your tanks. I generally run them, and on my bard I'm also using them. I don't currently have the newest and updated ones. However, as a new player, I don't recommend going down that road of Mastercrafting in Neverwinter. I really don't. The time and the amount of effort it takes to actually get there with investing a ton of astral diamonds is really not worth it. The easiest option is to go and ask a friend. Find somebody who has these Mastercraftings unlocked. You can go and purchase your maps from your stronghold, grind out by obtaining those materials, and then you go and give them to the master crafter, and they will go and craft the weapons for you. If you're fortunate, you get the +1 versions. Of course, if you can't find people, there is also the auction house, and you can just grind out your astral diamonds and spend them to purchase your weapon set. As a new player, definitely don't recommend that route. What you want to prioritize is upgrading these companions, upgrading these mounts. That's your main priority. Upgrading weapon sets is really not a big thing anymore. You can just go and pick up like the Legion Guard from your Avernus, and you'll be grand with that for quite a while. You don't even have to upgrade it to legendary. The set bonuses aren't the end of the world anymore. They don't give weapon damage from these weapons, and thus only when you've hit end game and you're prepared to go into Vault of Stars or your Trials, Zariel or Tom, then I would worry about picking up, let's say, the Lionheart or the Celestial, and that's when you want to have a decently competitive weapon set. And that's where these mastered weapons would come in, just to help buff allies. When you're in a group of 5 people, giving this buff to everybody just makes it really good. And if everybody has the weapons, that's a 10% buff. That's more than you're ever going to get from the Lionheart or the Celestial. So don't go into crafting thinking you're going to make a lot of money off it. You're really not. You might scrounge up, let's say, 10,000 astral diamonds here or there. It's going to take you a lot of effort to do so and a lot of time invested. That's what I went into professions at the very beginning. I thought it would be an easy way to gain some passive astral diamonds, but really it's not at all. So there we have it. My conclusion is only use professions to farm gold. You can of course go and look at the different items which you will be able to craft. You can inspect them, and if you like the look of, let's say, the fashion of a certain item, sure, go for it. So hopefully this was somewhat helpful to you guys, and if I presented this well, consider leaving the video a like, and if you're new around here, consider subscribing. We'll see you guys around. Goodbye for now.